Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the July 24th Planning Board meeting. We're happy to have you with us this evening. Vanessa, would you please read the roll call?
Mr. Bachel?
Present.
Ms. Callis?
Present.
Mr. McLean?
Here.
Mr. Robinson? Mr. Servance?
Present.
Mr. Weatherholtz?
Here.
Ms. Washington?
Whoa, there you go. There you go. Talk about a dramatic entrance. How about that?
Exactly.
There you go. All right, thank you. Well, it looks like we have a quorum, including Ms. Washington as she strolls in. Good to see you, young lady. How are you?
We were a little nervous.
Really?
The vice chair was a bit concerned. He was a bit concerned. Yes, he was. Well, we do have a roll call, so we're good there. So let's move on to item number 3, approval of the minutes of the June 26, 2025 meeting, please.
I'll make a motion to approve minutes as written.
Thank you, sir. Any
Second.
second? Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you very much. Well, let's move forward, folks, to item 4A, and I'm stalling to be sure Madam Secretary is ready to go, and it looks like she is. So, Madam Secretary, if you please.
Item 4A, Pearl Beach Club Plan Development.
Nope.
Hang 10.
4A. Oops.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Item 4A, Hang 10 Car Wash T4, rezoning DEV 2025-329, quasi judicial hearing.
Excellent. Hear from staff. Luke, hi.
Good evening, Planning Board. My name is Luke Marcus, planner here in the city of Daytona Beach, and I am presenting the T4 rezoning on behalf of Hang 10 Car Wash. So this is a request by Jason Rice of Hang 10 Car Wash on behalf of property owner ABC Liquors to straight rezone 1.99 acres located on the west side of South Ridgewood Avenue and south of Trixie Street. The land is currently split between T2 and T4 zoning. The rezoning proposes the land to be all T4 to accommodate future development. You can see the site location there on the southwest corner of Ridgewood and Trixie. Future land use is currently retail. The property is currently vacant and it has been since 2018. And you can see here that the property is today split between T2, T4 with the intent of being rezoned to be all T4. So this project is to convert the split zoning of T2 and T4 to be exclusively T4 to allow for future development on the site. And this site has been vacant since 2018 when the ABC Liquor was demolished. Staff recommends the approval of the rezoning amendment of 1.99 acres, a combination of T2 and T4 to only T4 on the entire property to allow for future developments on the site. Majority of planning board members present and voting is required to recommend approval to the City Commission.
Very good, sir. Any questions for Luke?
Yep.
I was so excited, guys, when Ms. Washington came in that I forgot to discuss the fact that any citizens who want to address the board concerning items on the agenda, we asked you to fill out the green comment form that we talked about earlier. When you come to the lectern, please state your name and address for the record. You'll have up to 3 minutes. If you can make your point in less than 3 minutes, we won't say no. So with that, any other questions for Luke? Luke, thank you. Appreciate it. Can we hear from the applicant, please? Name and address for the record, if you would. Young man, please.
Absolutely. Casey Mulligan, owner, Hang 10 Car Wash.
Very good. Anything you want to say regarding this item, sir?
Just looking to come into the area, Daytona. We currently have 2 in Orlando and another one in Edgewater, Florida. This will be our first in Daytona, and with another one off of Holly Hill as well. So looking to expand and get into this area would be fantastic and good for us and good for you.
Good deal. All right. I appreciate that. Any questions for the applicant? Seeing none, thank you very much. Appreciate you being here tonight. Looking here, we have, looks like we have a few folks that want to speak on this item, starting with Mary, is it Chernati? Did I get Chernati last name?
Let her say.
What? Yeah, okay, that's probably a good idea. Mary, did I come close?
Yes, you do.
Oh, thank you.
I answer to a lot of calls. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak on this on the behalf of this.
Of course.
I live at 1508 Virginia Avenue, which happens to sit just behind where this is intended to be built. So, being a resident there for quite a few years now, one of the things that we struggle with on a regular basis every year is flooding. So the very nature of a business of a car wash, bringing more water above where our property sits and having to think about the ability to have that water at any time coming down into our property, which we do sit lower than where this would be built, is definitely a huge concern, especially because this year our flood insurance has definitely put a big dent into our budgets. So, you know, I love living there, but this would definitely make me have to rethink things. And also with the traffic and trying to maneuver the traffic in and out of there with the traffic pattern with Raceway on the corner, the restaurant already being there, and people are already having a hard time getting in and out of that particular area. And traffic running, you know, foot traffic going across the road right there, not going down to the corner and going over to the laundromat. So that would be a safety concern of mine, but my biggest concern to be able to address here tonight is the fact that we do sit lower than where this is to be built, and the very nature of a car wash bringing water to that area is a huge concern. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you being here tonight. Next, we have Alec Kinnison. Name and address for the record, if you would, please.
Yes, my name is Alec Kinnison, and I also live in the same building next to Mary. She is obviously actually my neighbor. And I have several issues to present for your attention. As Mary said, the biggest concern is obviously the extra water that may come from the proposed car wash, since we are located in sort of a pit, much lower than the neighboring buildings, and we have huge problems with hurricane every year with flooding. So a car wash will obviously cause additional water, which our sewage system will hardly cope with. That's for sure. I was thinking about, of course, you'll say that it'll be a separate sewage system and that water is not supposed to get into our property. But just the fact, I was just thinking, it's as simple as that. Right now, that, empty area is just grass and ground, and, the heavy rain and extra water just goes into the ground during, the hurricanes and heavy rain. But when it's going to be asphalted with the asphalt, it won't have a chance to go through the ground. So it'll obviously will stream our way. So it's really a very serious issue and a huge concern. And then again, as Mary already mentioned, it's the issue of noise and air pollution and extra traffic. And Trixie, do you know what Trixie is? It's a tiny narrow street in Crooked, and it's obviously going to cause, blocked traffic and lots of problems. So that's actually 4 issues I would like to draw your attention to. So flooding is number 1, the biggest one, and the basic one, then air and noise pollution, and Trixie, which I don't know and I don't see how the poor Trixie can cope with an entrance and exit from the suggested car wash. I think that's it.
Okay.
For your attention.
You're welcome. Thank you. Next, we have Linda Satter-Layer. I hope I got that right.
Schaefer.
Oh,
Good evening. Thank you all for being here to listen to our concerns.
certainly.
One of them was addressed mine was addressed in the minutes. Who holds title to the land at the moment, and whether or not your change in zoning is going to make the difference between whether or not the car wash is able to happen there or not, and in terms of the sale, so that the car wash does not currently own the land, correct, and is making the application.
That's
All right, so that was one of them. The other question I had, there's a car wash on Dunlawton called Splash that is quite architecturally nice and about on the same size land as we're looking at on Ridgewood. And so one of my concerns, not so much tonight, but down the road, would be architecturally, what is that going to look like for our neighborhood? The water issue is the water issue. And we need to have some real thought put into what's happening in that area, and what the city would then be doing with Trixie to make that street more viable, because the entrance and exit for the car wash has got to go somewhere in there, and obviously people will be coming from the Raceway gas station into the car wash and then out somewhere, so there will be traffic issues. So this is, I realize, a larger picture for tonight's just changing the zoning. And that's not so much of an issue as to what the intent for the property is going to be once the zoning is changed. So far, we've got ABC Liquor on hold for anything, but your decisions will have an impact for a long time on what may be there, and then what will happen to that neighborhood going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Linda. Appreciate it. Next,
I
we
really like your
have
jacket.
Kathy Martin.
I'm with them. I feel the same way they do. The noise, the racket.
Come to the microphone,
Please, name and address if you would, Kathy.
Yeah, the noise, the racket. I've been living here since 2014, and the noise is already loud enough as it is. We don't need no more. And the flooding, oh my goodness. I feel sorry for the people on the first floor because it floods up to your your kneecaps. Really, honestly, we don't need nothing. We don't need that crap here. The traffic is already terrible. And if you put something like that in, oh my goodness, what's it going to be like for us getting in and out of our own place when we sometimes can't get in and out of ourselves? Honestly, I'm through.
Thank you, Kathy.
Point of order, Mr. Chair. You did
Yes.
ask the lady to state her name and address for the record.
I
I
did.
didn't hear her statement.
Oh,
so.
if you wouldn't mind, Kathy, please.
Sorry, Kathy Martin,
And your address, please?
1508 Virginia Avenue, Unit 205A.
Thank you very much. We have Paige Wildner.
It's 15, it says 1508 but in fact it's.
I'm sorry.
1508.
Come to the microphone, please.
You have to come to the microphone. We can't hear you,
can't hear you.
unfortunately. I'm sorry? Please,
Microphone.
No. Just let us know what you're saying, please.
There's a mistake here on this, paper. It says 1506 South Ridgewood Avenue, and our building is 1508.
Right, well, I think the address there is the address of the car wash, not your building. No problem. Paige, are you next?
Yes, Paige Widener, 3601 Rigby Road, Miamisburg, Ohio. So I am with CESO. We are the engineer and permit manager for Hang10. First, I want to thank all of your time, thank staff's time, and the concerns raised by the community. We're excited to bring new development on this property, and to address some of the concerns, we will be fully engineering the site. We already show on the concept plan that was previously provided in the rezone application, there's kind of a sketch of where the stormwater management pond would be located. Obviously, that will be continuously designed per your city and state requirements, working with the engineering department as well closely to make sure that there's no negative impact on surrounding properties. Also, as far as the car wash aspect of it, all of the water used in the car wash is sent through large underground reclaim tanks. So none of that water is being sent off-site. That is also kind of addresses the pollution concern, which Casey can address a little bit further in more detail in a moment.
Great.
Yeah, wastewater. Sorry, I'm walking away from the mic.
Yeah.
The reclaim tanks, like I said, so that would all be addressing that wastewater, not the sanitary sewer. Sorry. As far as the traffic concern, we have already submitted a initial traffic analysis report, which we're working with staff to make sure we are in full compliance and only providing the amount of drives and improvements as the city sees fit. And then as far as elevations, that was also something that we did submit within the rezone application packet. Hang10 prides itself on a very aesthetically pleasing facility, and we like to be a positive impact on the community. Got more time, but is there any questions you have for me now, or do you want Casey to come address, please?
If I may, since she is representing the applicant, why don't we have her speak at the end? We'll
At
have
the end.
general
That I
public
was
speak,
about
and
to
if any
suggest that,
questions come
Dennis.
up, then you can address those, and then we'll hear from
Yeah,
everybody.
but we
first.
appreciate
Absolutely.
you giving us the
Absolutely.
information, but
Thank
we'll
you.
give you a last turn at bat if you will.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Next, Donna Ferguson.
Hi, I'm Donna
Hi.
Ferguson from 1508 Virginia Ave, 111A. And like everyone else's concern in our area is the flooding. We have 96 condos on our property. And last October, 48 of those got flooded out, every condo on the first floor. So that is a very big concern of ours. The entrance, where your entrances are going to be, are a big concern. Will both entrance and exit be off from Ridgewood Ave? Or is there going to be an entrance or exit off from Trixie Ave, which is a very narrow street? And I think that's just like everybody else said, our biggest concern is, because we're so low to the ground, is the flooding. And that's it.
Thank you, Donna.
Thank you.
Next, I have Fairs Amadi. Name and address for the record, sir, if you would.
Hi, I'm doing. First, I'm Almadi. I'm the owner of Unit 1508-204. The problem we have in our street is we have already enough traffic there with the restaurant we have and the gas station. And overnight, even hardly we can sleep because so much guys, they sleep outside closed. And now we have another place hang out a car wash, you're gonna have more issue. Okay, that's one point. Another point is the streets. It's not enough to hold all that traffic for a car wash, especially in and out and the location. And we already have enough, so many car wash close to the street within 2-3 miles. It's just wrong business, wrong place. And that's it.
All right, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
It should be a better place. I mean, a newer business, something will bring the property up and will help the community. We'll agree for it. But a car wash, that's in lower end, of the businesses.
I understand your point. Thank you. Last we have here is, I'm not sure about the last name, Casey. I can't even pronounce the last name. I apologize, Casey. Okay. Okay. That Casey. Okay. I'm with you now. All right. Okay. Well, we have, that's the sheets that we have. Looks like we have one more that's coming up. And then after that, we'll ask the applicant to address some of the items that have been brought up.
Hi there, I just have a
Name and
comment.
address for the record, if you would, please. That's
Sandra
okay.
Murphy, I should know this by now, 136 Park Avenue. I have a question about the notification. Y'all know that Ann and I show up at everything that goes on in terms of developer-initiated meetings. Neither of us can find a notification in our email. And so we're kind of questioning how that notification was sent out and whether we are just missing it or whether that's missing from the list. Thank you.
We'll look into that, Dennis, I
Yeah,
assume?
we'll look into that and see exactly what happened and why there wasn't a notification or what may have happened. But if I may, just for the board, I just want to point out that this is a rezoning application. It's not a site plan application, so it's not dealing with the specific requirements of the site development. The criteria is for a rezoning from the one zoning designation to the other zoning designation. So.
Understood. That being said, I think
And also to know that we're not dealing with a PD agreement that's proposed, so it's not as if we're able to negotiate specific terms that we might include in such agreement. This is a straight rezoning application.
Yeah, and so when an application does come in for a site plan, it has to meet all of our, all of our land development code requirements to be developed, including the stormwater, including traffic, including meeting design standards for that property.
And that being said, we do have some questions that our citizens brought up. We'd like to, if there are responses to be had, we'd like to hear them. So I'd like to ask Paige and Casey to come back up. And folks, what I'm interested in hearing from you two, if possible, is discussing the possible flooding, the noise and air pollution situation, and the situation on Trixie Road. So if you could talk about those items, because those were the main items that I heard from our citizens. I'd like to get your response from that, please.
This is Paige Widener. Currently, the site plan that we do show has one access on Ridgewood Avenue. We're not, at this time, proposing any accesses onto Trixie Street, Trixie Road.
Great.
As far as the flooding concerns off-site, currently the site is kind of run down, paved parking lot area. I know there's quite a few brush and grass growing through it, but that will be taken into consideration when we do a pre and post development analysis within our engineering design. So all of that will be mathematically computed, and again, like I said, we'll work with the staff engineering to verify that everything is satisfactory to them before any permits could be pulled. And then do you want to address the pollution concerns?
Sure. So newer technology car washes, we recycle up to 90% of our water. A lot of people don't understand, when you wash your car in your driveway, all the chemicals and silt that you've built up on the road over time, and you just wash it in your driveway, it goes where? Right into the sewer. When you wash it in a car wash, it goes into our pit, into 8 different tanks, and gets filtered all the way throughout before it even gets to the sewer. So if anything, we are helping the environment. We are not hurting the environment. And I just want everyone to understand that. Like, it is far from it, from hurting the environment.
What about noise pollution?
Please. Any other comments?
As far as noise pollution?
Noise pollution.
We use state-of-the-art technology vacuums, but our vacuums we have a fence around them, or like a gate, call it what you want, to enclose that noise. We don't have anything that is disruptive, what say you, to harm the noise at all.
Mr. President, quick question.
Please, Pastor
As far
Barlow.
as noise and separation, I believe there should be some separation between the businesses and the residents. Is there something there, or are you all planning on putting make sure we have a barrier or some type of
Yeah, at the time of,
when you come back?
at the time that we submit site plan approval, we'll make sure we have all necessary setbacks, landscaping. I'm not quite sure, I haven't dug into the code in that strict of detail, but if there are any required buffer screening, things of that nature, we'll be sure to incorporate that into our plan.
So
Wonderful. I
if
just
a
wanna make
barrier is
sure our
necessary,
citizens- yeah.
there'll be one.
Correct.
Very good.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Please.
What's the difference in the elevation between the house that sets down below the property, between the finished floor elevation of what you're anticipating, the building, and the property there? What's the difference in elevation?
So at this time, I have not done the grading design, but if you give me a moment, I can pull up my laptop and try to get some more information. But at that time, off the top of my head, I do not know that information.
We
Like I
need to
said, I'll
know
work
that
with
before, I think, before anything else is discussed on the zoning and, something for the elevation, because they absolutely, I know the property fairly well. And there's a pretty good difference in elevation there.
But that would be at the site plan, correct? That wouldn't be here.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're a little ahead of the game here, yeah.
Yeah, it is a vacant, any property that gets, any development on that site is gonna have to go through that process. The current zoning allows multiple uses, even in the mix that could be developed right now, but it still has to meet code requirements. So the zoning criteria is not whether or not the elevation is consistent with the surrounding properties. It's the criteria is in our staff report of what they need to meet to meet the zoning standard.
I read it very good,
Yeah.
And what the zoning allows, and it's a pretty open zoning.
Sure.
But, they're basically requesting, they're not planning on building apartments or a condo or, whatever. They're planning on putting a car wash there.
If I may alleviate some of your concerns, no matter what the finished floor elevation of the proposed building may be, we'll use a series of curbs, curb inlets, catch basins, trench drains, all kinds of systems in our site to make sure that we're approved through your engineering review process.
I know
so
that.
Even if I have not gone through that portion of the design at this phase, but even if it were to be at an elevated.
But your anticipated use right now, right this very second, is putting a car wash there. I know that it has multi-uses, or, it's pretty open zoning.
I guess I'm confused, just real quick. So is your concern that the car wash is bringing more water to it would prevent flooding at those other
That was one of
properties?
the things, but, I'm also interested, seeing the difference in elevation. With a car wash there is going to be a certain amount of noise. Now, how much, I don't know. It's not my business. I'm just a general
A
contractor.
couple things. The building's facing the opposite direction of the homes.
I agree.
So that helps. Two, regarding the water, all the water's inside the tunnel. Water's not going outside the tunnel. It goes into the trench and then down into the tanks and then goes from there. If
And
anything,
then the lighting, another thing, it's backing up into the apartments, the residential houses. A commercial, I'll just say a commercial, whatever it is. The lighting will definitely affect the folks down behind.
So we'll be able to run a lighting analysis to make sure that we're under the allowable foot candles at the property line.
Oh, I sure hope so. But these are some of the things that I'm sure the residents are concerned with, and I'd be a little concerned myself.
As long as these items, whether it's elevation or lighting or whatever the case may be, and we're maybe a little early to discuss that, as long as they're addressed, that's the bottom line. That if, and I'm not hearing anything up till now that's in this discussion to say that potentially they won't be addressed. So at this point, I think we need to move forward to discuss the zoning issue, the other issues, site plans, all those things. That's in the future. That's tomorrow. That's next week. That's next year. That's not tonight, at least in my view. Any other questions for the applicant? With that, thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I'd like a motion, please, on item 4A.
I make a motion, site plan, specific zoning map amendment, straight DV 2025-329, T4 rezoning.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
No.
Thank you very much. Moving, I think that was 5-1. Burning.
Where the hope said, man.
There we go. All right, moving forward to item 4B. Madam Secretary, please.
Excuse me. Item 4B, Hotel Oasis, PH .2 Lot 1, Site Plan DEV 2024-571, Quasi Judicial Hearing.
Very good. Paula, before you get started, I wanted to, haven't had a chance to see you, but to compliment you on the fine affordable housing presentation you gave to the committee back about a month ago. I thought you did an outstanding job. I wanted to compliment you publicly on that.
Thank you so much. Well, this used to be what I did, so I hope I returned a little bit of it, but now I'm here to talk about this.
Okay.
So, good evening, planning board members. It's so great to see you. Pastor Barkley said, were you on vacation? I said, I just didn't have any items. So I think the last time that I was actually here, I brought a sister project to you. And so tonight I am here to present a request by Sidney Reynolds of Kimley-Horn and Associates on behalf of Daytona Lux Development, LLC, to approve a major site plan on 8.4 plus or minus acres of land, constructing a hotel on Phase 2, Lot 2 of Project Oasis, generally located at the corner of Mason Avenue and Williamson Boulevard. The project will include a 94,320 square foot building and parking area. It will utilize off-site stormwater infrastructure ponds that have been developed as a part of the master project. As we can see, Phase 2, Lot 2 is on the northeast corner of Mason Avenue and Williamson Boulevard. The project that I brought before you previously in March, I know that was a long time ago, right? Was actually Tesla, which is that square that's just below it. That was the last one that we brought. So this is a sister property to that in the sense that it's Phase 2. The other one, was Lot 1. This one is Lot 2. That property is vacant and undeveloped at this time as well. The future land use for this property is mixed use. It is surrounded by the same. As you can see, pretty much everything in that area for the Project Oasis in that section is mixed use. And of course, the current zoning is planned development general. Not dissimilar than the discussion that was had back in March. It is pretty much exactly the same. So in July of 2022, that planned district agreement was approved by commission with a variety of different uses, including agricultural, residential, institutional, commercial, industrial, and some temporary uses subject to the standards within the LDC in 2022. The agreement received approval for a minor modification in May of 2024, which allowed for a fire station and an update to signage on that plan development at that time. The agreement received approval for a second minor modification at the end of 2024, which allowed for that Tesla use to actually be there, and service uses along with certain building materials for those uses at that time. The parking for this particular project does comply with the requirements of the LDC as detailed. For any project that we have for a hotel in our land development code, it does indicate that we will have to have one parking space per room. And in addition to that, we also have to have per 15 rooms of that entire space for that number there. We have to divide that in order to find out how many additional parking spaces that we're going to have. So there are 131 rooms. Per 15 rooms, you have to have one additional parking space per. So, of course, that came to 8.733. We round that up. So the total number of parking spaces for the hotel itself would be 140 spaces. There is a proposed restaurant that is going to be there as well, and the required parking spaces for that are, and it's based upon the service, the customer service area very specifically, not the entire space, but the public service area, customer service area there. In the event that there is not a customer service area in a traditional sense, we know what those are. That would be like the Dutch Bros coffee shop, or something that doesn't actually have a place where people are going to come in and sit. It's just going to have the drive-through. Then we're looking at parking spaces that are going to be necessary as it relates to that space specifically. So what we are anticipating, and our land development code does indicate this, that there will be per a 50 square foot of customer service area, there will be one parking space. It is projected that a restaurant that is going into that space is what they're thinking is going to be there. And you saw that on the site plan that you received in your packet, that the service area will be 3,900 square feet, which basically says that we're going to need 78 parking spaces for that, which means that there would need to be a total of 218 spaces. This particular development is providing 182 spaces. Now, anytime that there is a shared space for parking, meaning you have two different uses there, you have to do something a little bit different in order to accommodate, because you know that there's going to be some shared spaces. That means for the number of parking spaces that you are providing, a maximum of 50% are the amount of parking spaces that you can basically be able to have. The parking spaces that we're short for this particular property is 36 spaces. When you actually do the math on that, it's actually 20%, quite a bit less than what the maximum is. So we're going to be able to cover that by having 36 shared parking spaces for this particular property. For the vehicle connections for this particular project, we do have two ingress and egress access points from the internal Project Oasis Development Road, Exuma Way to the east, and Hildy Boulevard to the north of the parcel. There are no ingress or egress points on Williamson Boulevard. So we've seen what Williamson Boulevard is looking like right now. There's a lot of new medians there. It's a little bit different than what we've been used to. So obviously that's good that we're not going to have ingress and egress onto Williamson. The pedestrian connections will also be connected to the internal sidewalk connections will connect to the existing sidewalk systems that are already existing. The landscape on this particular property will have a plan that has already been reviewed for compliance with the LDC as well as the PD, and you saw that information presented in your planning board packet as well. The building design that is proposed and the site configuration are also consistent for that use. This is a small version that you can see blown up quite a bit, which is what you've already seen in your planning board packet. You also were able to see some architectural elevations, and thankfully, we also received a rendering of what this site could possibly look like. We know that it won't necessarily be exact, but this is a good rendering that we've been provided, and thank you so much to Sidney for making sure that we got it, and you could be able to see what it could possibly look like in the end. Obviously, the cars won't look the same, but generally, the product is going to look very similar to that. There are a couple of conditions that do need to be satisfied with this project. All of the technical aspects of the project have to be resolved, inclusive of the architectural, landscape sufficiency, and traffic. In addition to that, we have to make sure that there is a impact for traffic and that that payment is made. The agreement is already done. It's already been signed. It's executed completely. It's been recorded. We're just waiting for the payment for that. And those are the things that will need to be done before we will have that site plan approval letter issued. So just you keep that in mind. Nothing is going to happen until those things are satisfied. Provided that all of the conditions are satisfied, staff does recommend the planning board approve the major site plan proposed for the construction of a hotel, inclusive of 94,320 square feet of building and parking area that will utilize off-site stormwater infrastructure ponds developed as a part of the master project on 8.4 plus or minus acres of land. A majority vote of the planning board members present and voting is required for this approval, required to approve this application. This does conclude staff's report, and I believe that the applicant is here to speak.
Thank you, Paul. Any questions for staff?
I do have a question.
Please.
In order to be in compliance with the parking,
Yes.
was it or is it possible not to shrink the building size and to bring it down to be in compliance? That's a lot of parking. It's already an issue in many places in our city. And then to actually have a building go up, knowing that you're going to be 36% parking space short, creates another problem.
At this point,
Yeah.
it is proposed. It is not a given that it's going to be that size in terms of the restaurant. We don't know what the operator is going to be. We don't know the size that it's going to be. There's no way. It's based upon the actual square footage of the customer service area. So if it ends up being a Dutch Bros or something of that nature, there's no service customer area.
Okay, so then how can you expect?
Can I add on that?
Yeah.
This is a site plan for the hotel. The restaurant's not included. The site plan is going to include enough parking for the hotel. When the restaurant comes in, these calculations are going to be reworked, and we're going to see where we sit. at
Okay,
that
because
point.
there's no way I
Right
can
now,
vote on something and say yes or no to anything
No.
without knowing properly. So
Yeah.
we're not considering the
it's
restaurant.
not the restaurant at all is being considered over
Yeah,
here.
this is
So-
kind of a what-if scenario,
Yeah.
Tony.
Yeah,
you know?
because this was put together as a restaurant and a hotel.
this is-
That's how it was presented.
If we had the restaurant here, you'd see the elevations of the restaurant, the landscaping, all of that. That's not included in this approval. We're just looking at the hotel. The parking that's mentioned with the shared, that's a speculation of what may happen. This site will be developed with the hotel with the required minimum number of parking spaces, and probably, I would assume, maybe even excess the required parking spaces, because they may want to anticipate the other lot development, but we'll have to take a look at that when that restaurant comes in to make sure that they meet those parking requirements.
And I understand that, and
or
I
if.
think that's much clearer.
Or
than-
if, yes, yeah.
Right, that's much clearer. But being presented together with the comparison with both of them and comparing how many shared parking, that was not real clear. And so for me, I would not vote on that.
Well, we'll be very clear to say that this is a recommendation just for the hotel and just for the hotel parking,
Okay.
nothing to do with the restaurant.
Okay.
I just love when Pastor Barhu talks about parking. I just love it.
Yes,
Well, I got to find a place to get there.
There you go. Yes, sir. Anything else for Paula? Thank you. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
Ask for the applicant to come up, please. Name and address for the record, if you would, young lady.
Sidney Reynolds. I work with Kimley-Horn, the engineer on the project, and 12740 Grand Bay Parkway, Jacksonville, Florida.
Very good. Any questions for the applicant?
I have a question.
Please.
Very nice hotel. Would you classify this as a 2-star, 3-star, 5-star, just magnificent, whatever it would be?
I'm not 100% sure the star level of the hotel, but I do know that they're gonna make it pretty nice because the developer on this wants to make this a really nice area to come to.
I was just kind of curious.
Yeah.
There is a Hyatt Place where I used to live, Mr. Vice Chairman, in Lake Mary, and it was, I would say, 3-star. Be my best guess.
That's what I would say, just guessing. I've stayed in also.
But a wonderful hotel. I've stayed there often. Anything else? Thank you very much. All right, moving forward on item 4B, like to get a motion on this item, please.
Okay, I make a motion we approve major site plan approval DV 2024-571. Oh, it says Phase 2, Lot 2, hotel only.
Second.
So thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you very much. Passed unanimously. Moving on to item 4C. Madam Secretary, please.
Item 4C, facilitate affordable and inclusive housing, Land Development Code Text Amendment, DEV 2025-221, legislative hearing.
Very good.
Good evening.
Emilio, hi.
Hi. Good evening. Emilio O'Brien, Senior Planner, City of Daytona Beach. So this is item 4C to facilitate affordable and inclusive housing. This is a request by the Growth Management and Planning Department, Planning Division, to amend Article 3, Article 6, and Article 11 of the Land Development Code to support the development of affordable and inclusive housing. The proposed amendment increases flexibility using administrative adjustments, defines homeowner recovery programs, addresses ADA accessibility features and mechanical equipment into required setbacks. There is an open discussion here today for whether or not to require one-car garages for affordable housing projects. Look forward to your input on that. This is the proposed changes to Section 3.4W, Administrative Adjustments. This is the proposed change for 3.4W, Administrative Adjustments again. This is the proposed change to Table 3.4W.2. This is the table that shows the allowable administrative adjustments. We are proposing to add a column for affordable housing. Also, add a footnote to other zoning districts to clarify that they can take advantage of the 10% adjustment or 1 foot, 12 inches, whichever is greater.
Okay.
This is the change to Section 6.22, affordable housing, to add the term homeowner recovery program as part of the city's affordable housing strategy. Allow homeowner recovery programs to access streamlined development flexibility and city incentives. This is the definition that we're proposing to add to the LDC for homeowner recovery programs. This is the second part of that definition.
And Emilio, this is the updated information that that you gave us this evening, correct?
Yes. So just to clarify, there was a local housing partnership in your packet that you received. There should be a memo that you all received that had this change in there.
Yes, sir.
So staff requests the planning board review and consider an amendment to Section 6.22 affordable housing to determine whether a requirement for enclosed garages should be added for affordable single-family detached and duplex units. This is the potential language that would go into the LDC. So I've added a few pictures in here. So one of the homeowner recovery programs that we're looking at and trying to help facilitate the development is for Transform 386. So these are some pictures from their website. And as you can see, there's no garage shown. So that this will be part of that discussion. And this is an example of what it would look like if they use one of their standard home designs. This is another picture. This one has a carport. So in my presentation, also in your packet, I've added some supporting factors for one-car garages, also some potential disadvantages. So for the supporting factors, one supporting factor would be additional storage and space, flexibility for future use, protection for vehicles, neighborhood compatibility. An example of this, just to elaborate a little bit, in areas where existing homes typically have garages, constructing new affordable single-family homes without garages, using just carports or driveways instead, may impact the visual cohesion and character of the neighborhood. So that's an example of neighborhood compatibility and how this proposed change would be impacted. Some of the potential drawbacks for one-car garages: increased construction costs, potentially underutilized space, reduced design flexibility, potential reduction of total affordable units built on site due to space taken up by garages. So for the last example there, a developer planning a duplex, for example, with 2 one-car garages, could be forced to downsize to a single-family detached home with 1 garage if the lot cannot accommodate the space needed for 2 units plus 2 garages. This space constraint could limit housing density and overall affordable unit production. So again, staff is requesting direction from the planning board on the proposed garage requirement. The board can weigh these and other factors to determine whether to include, modify, or exclude the requirement in the final amendment to section 6.22. This is the second component of this text amendment for allowable yard encroachments. So what we're doing here is we're trying to add ADA compliant accessibility features, including ramps, lifts, and landings, and allowing them to encroach into the yard, as well as mechanical equipment, including air conditioning units, pool equipment, and similar items. This is where the term inclusive housing comes in. The other part was about affordable housing. This is about inclusive housing. Staff recommends approval of the request to amend Articles 3, 6, and 11 of the LDC to facilitate affordable and inclusive housing. The item is tentatively scheduled to be heard by the City Commission for first reading on September 3rd, 2025, and second reading on September 17th, 2025.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Any questions for staff, please?
First of all,
Don't be smiling that much before you ask these questions,
I think
sir.
it's a great idea. I think that the city's putting something together, especially on rehabbing homes that need to be rehabbed. You know, one of the things that's came up recently is the elevation of the houses. You know, we have a required elevation, finished floor elevation. On your typical there, it showed the houses up on blocks or columns. I think that's the greatest idea that the city's come up with, especially in the low-lying areas. I'll just use Midtown for an example. Had something come up, builder build homes, and, he was a half foot and a foot lower than the required elevation. Putting homes up on columns, I think it's a great idea. It would eliminate the flooding in the areas, and I think that's something to think about.
Certainly would reduce it, that's for sure.
It absolutely would. You could put, it's a crazy idea. Some of the houses in Zone 1, over by the golf course, a lot of flooding in there. I mean, you almost have to have a boat to live there. Yeah. The houses in the back, they could be put up on columns, never have to worry about flooding again, have a garage or a carport underneath. I just so happen to live in a house in the Keys, on the ocean, on stilts, and the bottom floor had breakaway walls. But it can be done, and I think it can be done affordably. The next thing, garage. I'm a contractor and a developer, so I know what, the prices that it puts in. But it's something, I think, that in areas that do have garages, I think that a garage would be beneficial to the neighborhood. And I would suggest a garage size of 12 by 22. Now, that seems like it's large. But one of the things that you could do in there is on the design of the house, you could put the washer dryer, hot water heater, your AC unit right there in the front of the garage and still have room for your car. So that would eliminate a lot more area living space, and it wouldn't put too much more cost in it. I think that the handicap accessible ramps and everything, I think that's a absolutely fantastic idea. To be allowed to put in the biggest problem with, say, like your air conditioners. The city's already reduced the setback requirements for affordable housing, a lot of houses in here. They talk about the eave overhangs and everything, but if you set an air conditioner and you've got a 5-foot offset, what that does, it restricts the drainage that you're required to have between the houses. You can't run water on your neighbor. You have to have some type of drainage. So, to always put that in thought, one other thing, you could hang the air conditioners on the building. They don't have to necessarily sit on the ground. It makes it a little bit easier, but it's no more cost, than being able to put them up on the side. Another thing to think about. But the drainage problem is the issue when you set anything on the sides. If you have them in the front of the house or the back of the house, the ideal place would be in the back of the house. But if you have if you've got a restriction on the setback requirements, it says talking about porches, different things in the back. I think that's another great idea, allowing the people to build back here. I just so happen to be putting a new shed on my property. I just got my first inspection today, and I already had one, but I tore it down and I'm building a new one. And it's, it's going to meet the standards, because when it was first built, it was in the county and it didn't meet the city standards. So I've torn it down and making them, but people, need to have the area in the back of their house for a patio or something, and, and instead of the requirement of 20-foot setback on the backyards, have it a little smaller. I think that's another great idea. The city proposing these, I think there was a lot of thought in it, and I commend you on it, but just some things with a builder's, ideal on it, and I think it'll be good for the city. I really do. That's all I have.
Mr. Barhu, you're done, you jump in. Right ahead, please.
One of the concern, I think it's a great thing, affordable housing. It's needed, but I believe the design of it needs to be based on the community that you're putting it into. I would not put a house on stilts or on blocks in the middle of a house on LPGA with all the other stuff in there. If there are garages, then it needs to be consistent with the garages in that area. If you put them in a new area where there's no garages, then I'm fine with it. But it needs to match the community that it's going into. But I think every house ought to have some type of garage for storage for whatever reason they need to. And I think the aesthetics of it looks much better, much cleaner. As far as our city, it makes it look so much more appropriate to live in. And I think that's a good idea for the garages. But again, whatever you're building, it needs to match the community you're putting it into.
Mm-hmm. If I might jump in here as well, thank you. I have no issue with the amendments for 3, 6, 11. They seem reasonable and what's been talked about tonight. I have a slightly different opinion on the adding the one-car garage onto a typical affordable housing unit. Not only the increased cost and the underutilized space, and potentially we won't be able to build as many units as we could otherwise because we're taking up room with that garage. I'll give you an example. My youngest daughter and her husband live in Orlando, and they have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath establishment there with 2 beautiful young people, a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old that Grandpa loves very much. And one thing they do not have, and it's in a pretty nice neighborhood in Orlando, up-and-coming neighborhood in Orlando, is a garage. They do not have a garage, and I would say that is not conducive of a affordable housing type unit where they live. And I think we just need to be cautious about the increase in costs that a garage would have. Is that the strict definition of what we're looking for affordable housing units? So I just ask the committee to give that some thought as we talk about that item, as well as the amendments that we're discussing in this item.
I think that, what you're saying is absolutely true. But one thing about if you're going to have an affordable house, doesn't necessarily have to be in an area where there's a lot of affordable housing. How about if I wanted to build an affordable housing beside your house? Would I need a garage? Would it be a little bit more? If you're building an affordable house in a neighborhood that all of the houses have a garage,
well, obviously you have to be consistent. I'm looking at it more of a new project in
because
addition
another thing
to
with
what
the city,
we have.
reducing the lot sizes and the setback requirements. If they're going to, I think that you're going to have most people that have a garage, they use it 90% of the time for something else other than putting a car in it. Now, if I took a count in here in this room, I'll bet you most of the people, I know a couple of them sitting in here that don't use their garages for their car.
I use mine.
And they could.
I use mine.
They could utilize it, like I say, in the building of the house. It does additional costs. But you could also, what you put, your air conditioner, air handler, your washer, your dryer, and everything, if most of them have a garage. I remember in the 50s here in Florida, you had a carport. You had a washer and dryer if you were lucky, and you usually put a piece of plastic over it. But them days, I think that they are, something for affordable housing that could be beneficial. I think you should have the option, not discount it. Don't say, well, affordable housing can't have a garage. I think you'd be entirely wrong on it. And I think the city ought to be, the commission ought to be aware of it.
So I do want to clarify. So what we're talking about here as well is to include a one-car garage for affordable housing if they want to take advantage of the incentives that we have within the affordable housing section of the LDC. So if they don't put the one-car garage, then they are not able to use those incentives.
But if they decide, and like I say, or if they decide not to, and you're building a house, an affordable house, in a neighborhood that's got garages. Are you still going to do that?
So some more clarification on that as well. So let's say there's a PD or HOA, there might be additional conditions and restrictions.
Well, that's one of the things that I do, when you're setting up this, what if you live in an HOA that says that, you've got to have blah, 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 blah.
Well, that might mean you don't have an affordable housing unit.
Well, I'm just saying, would there be any restrictions? Would the city code override the HOA?
It depends what we're talking about. But in this instance, the HOA, if they have conditions and restrictions built into their HOA, I would say that HOA.
Because HOAs, I'm just bringing up a lot of hypothetical. An HOA's got to have it's got a restriction on your deed when you go in to buy it. It's registered. It's just not a bunch of guys sitting around and saying, "Well, we're going to have these restrictions." It's got to be a legal HOA. But I was just wondering what the code would be against an HOA.
Interesting. And I may have David speak on this, but that would be a private agreement. The HOA would probably be a private agreement between the association and the property owner, and the city doesn't regulate, and we don't enforce private agreements. So that would be between the property owner and the HOA.
But say like if, in an HOA, you could have private roads. But if you have a public road in there and you still have, the city still enforces code on an HOA, building codes, height codes, whatever it is, setback requirements. But I've often thought about this is just kind of hypothetical, and I was curious of how that would be handled.
Well, probably between the HOA and the property owner.
Okay, well, I think we've made that point. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Anything else for Emilio? Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Very good question.
So Dennis, how are we going to deal with this? We're going to deal with the item and then we'll deal with the one bedroom separately, or how do you want to handle this?
What I would suggest is a motion to approve, either to include the requirement for the one-car garage or to not include the requirement for the one-car garage. And then we have a motion and a second. You can vote on that. And, that was part of the discussion of what we wanted to hear from the board. So, however the direction the board wants to go in. And again, it's a recommendation to the city commission. City commission can take a look at it and they may discuss it as well.
So the motion's going to have either include the one-bedroom garage or not.
Oh, could we, during the motion, is there somewhere to say it based on the community?
Sure.
Yeah,
sure. You could say
different communities.
Yeah, we'd have to kind of rework the code to have some sort of consistency with the surrounding area, maybe within a certain percent of the area. And if you made that recommendation, what we can do is, as staff, we can go back and kind of put something together that we think would meet that standard. And present that to the city commission.
Yeah, rather than saying with or without, I would make it based on the community, immediate community.
Okay.
Prevailing community standards at the time. Yeah. So, okay. All right. With that, let's get a motion for 4C then, please.
Well, I make a motion that we approve Land Development Code Text Amendment DV 2025-221. Based on the community, immediate community needs. That means, again, if there are garages in that area, they have to conform to it.
Very good. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you very much. Moving forward to item 4D. Rose, hi.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're back from vacation.
Good evening.
Good
From
evening.
vacation.
She's back. She's back.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Rose Askew, Project Manager, Economic Development and Strategic Opportunities Department. How are you all this evening?
Excellent. How about yourself?
Great.
Good.
So this is a request by the Growth Management and Planning Department to amend Article 5, Section 5.2 of the Land Development Code to add event centers as a special use in the residential professional, office professional, and business professional zoning districts, and amending Section 5.3 to allow event centers as permitted uses in the RDM1 and RDM2 zoning district, and also as a permitted use in the following zoning districts, but only along major city thoroughfares. So we're also allowing them as permitted uses in the RDM3, RDM4, 5, and 6, but only along major city thoroughfares. So ordinance number, ordinance 2023-33 adopted at the January 8th, 2023 City Commission meeting approved event centers as a principal or special use in various zoning districts and added use-specific standards to govern the new use. The request also included an amendment to Article 11, definitions, 11.5 to add a definition for event centers. The LDC currently allows event centers in the following zoning districts: single-family residential, multifamily 12, residential 12, multifamily residential 20, 40, and then the redevelopment beachside surfside area, which is also a residential zoning district, and also in the redevelopment beachside multifamily residential RDB 11. It also allows them it allows those in special uses. On the side to your, see if I can do this, to my right, which may be your left, all of those are permitted currently. All those zoning districts are permitted. On the side to my left, maybe your right, those are special uses. So since the original approval, staff has received requests to allow event centers in additional zoning districts. And we did an analysis of the code that was completed, and the determination was made that event centers were also compatible in the following zoning districts. And I wanted to make sure that this is a amendment that we're bringing forward based on meetings with the city manager for us to be able to assist people in the Midtown redevelopment area most specifically, but we also worked with planning, and planning had some zoning districts they also wanted it in throughout the rest of the city. So for special uses, we're looking at allowing them in the residential professional, the office professional, and the business professional. And you all should have had a sheet placed in your folders, because for some reason the staff report that went out, you couldn't see the special uses. You could see the title, but the actual zoning districts weren't showing.
Yep, we got it.
So for permitted uses in the Midtown redevelopment area, we're asking for them in the RDM1, RDM2, and then for RDM 3, 4, 5, and 6, only along major city thoroughfares. And so in amending section 5.2 standards of the Land Development Code to add the following event centers as a principal use along major city thoroughfares, the text is shown underlined. So the only text we're adding at the bottom is the text that specifically says event centers in the RDM 3, 4, 5, and 6 zoning districts may only be located in major city thoroughfares. So that's to make sure there's a clarification that if you do have one and you're located in those, they have to be along major city thoroughfares. And the Land Development Code has a specific list of what streets in our city are major city thoroughfares. So the recommendation, staff recommends approval of the proposed text amendment to amend Article 5, Sections 5.2 of the Land Development Codes to add event centers as a special use in the RP, OP, DP zoning districts, and amending Section 5.3 to allow event centers as a permitted use in the RDM 1, RDM 2, RDM 3, 4, and 5 with a restriction that is only allowed along major city thoroughfares in the RDM 3 through 6 zoning districts. A majority vote of planning board members present and voting is required to recommend approval to the city commission. This concludes staff's presentation.
Great job, Rose. Any questions? Seeing none, and we have no speakers on this item, let's move.
I have a question.
All right, question away.
Special events. Is this mostly, say, like pertaining to Bike Week,
No, sir.
Oktoberfest?
Absolutely not. This
Doesn't
has
have anything to do with
It's not
that.
associated with it at all. Event centers are a permitted use and special use in certain zoning districts. Everything has to be inside. Special events is 5.4C4 or 5.C11, whole different section of the code. They're not associated at all. These are uses that people can get a business license to operate year-round.
That was my next
yes,
question.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Anything else? Seeing none, I'll take a motion for item 4D, please. Thank you, Rose.
Yeah, I make a motion we approve LDC text amendment DB 2025-412 Event Center.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you very much. Moving smartly to item 5, other business. I will mention again that unfortunately we do not have a liaison to our downtown redevelopment area board. Josephine, are you sure you don't want to do this? Do I look like I'm begging you? I am begging you. Okay, maybe we'll, Mr. Robinson isn't here. Perhaps next month we can ask him if he may want to get involved. So we'll move forward with that.
What was that?
Downtown.
Downtown redevelopment.
Correct,
Board?
downtown redevelopment. Just, we talked about, if you recall, last month, and people didn't run up, saying, please, me first. But we'd like to have someone if someone's willing to step
And
up.
this board does meet during the day at noon, and they provide lunch for the board when they do meet.
Ooh,
I hate to do it. My wife's probably gonna, I hope she's not watching.
She won't have to make you lunch that day if you go to that meeting, so.
No,
Well,
but I
let's,
think that I'll start it.
I second it.
That's quick.
we need to.
You could be the second.
All in favor, please say aye. Yeah. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you very much. Okay, moving. Great, I
Don't let
very
them go.
appreciate it,
Don't let
thank
them
you.
go.
Thank
You're
you.
right. Thank you.
Okay, moving forward, now we have at least temporarily a downtown liaison, that's great, thank you, sir. How about Midtown? Anything with Midtown? No. Beachside? Nothing on affordable housing, we did not meet. Any comments from the public? I don't see any green forums, okay, thank you. And anything from staff other than the downtown discussion?
Yeah, the downtown discussion, and did you all receive the, this flyer? It should have been in your, okay. Yeah, the American Planning Association is doing, or excuse me, the Florida Conference of the American Planning Association will have their conference here in September. And one of the sessions that they have is specifically designed for planning officials as a training workshop. If any of the planning board members would like to attend this.
Already applied for it.
Okay, just let's make sure we get you guys signed up. What I want to make sure is you have a confirmation. Send it over to Vanessa. She'll give you a confirmation. She'll pay for this and make sure you guys are all locked in. So anybody who wants to attend, more than happy to have you guys attend that event.
Okay, great. I'll make sure. I thought I'd reached out, but I might have reached out to the wrong person. Vanessa, I'll make sure I get it to you. Okay, any board member comments? Seeing none, thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Yeah.